Candidates for 11th District Court of Appeals, Mr. Tamburino and Mr. Wright. Begin with Ron Tamburino.
Hello, my name is Ron Tamburino. I'm a candidate for 11th District Court of Appeals. I've been admitted to practice before the Ohio Supreme Court and all other Ohio courts, the U.S. Supreme Court, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is a federal court of appeals, and the U.S. District for the Northern District of Ohio. I have 33 years of experience in trials and appeals in civil and criminal cases, 26 years experience at the Sherwin-Williams Company and their legal department, where I accepted jobs of increasing responsibility over the years, the last 7 years of which I served as Associate General Counsel of litigation with budget and management oversight responsibilities for all general litigation and appeals in the United States. I've managed proceedings before government agencies, including the Internal Revenue Service, the EPA, the Federal Trade Commission, the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. My extensive public service experience includes, I'm presently serving my third term as a township trustee in Trumbull Township, and I also serve on the Northwest Ambulance District Board. I've served as a director on several boards of nonprofit organizations. My wife Leanne and I have been married for 22 years. We live and operate on a farm in Trumbull Township with our 6 children and belong to St. Mary Chardon Catholic Church. I support a conservative interpretation of the Constitution and the rule of law. My goal when elected to the 11th District Court of Appeals is to interpret and apply the Constitution conservatively as the framers intended. The framers said what they meant, and they meant what they said. I will apply the rule of law fairly and consistently to any person and entity whose case comes before me, and I will be a judge who serves the people, not a judge who serves at the pleasure of lawyers or local or state bar associations whose interests may or may not be consistent with the interests of the people or other special interest groups. I will improve the transparency of court administration for the benefit of the public. My opponent and I have a disagreement about what transparency means. I believe that transparency means make all data regarding the court's docket management system available by posting it on the court's website. It's public record. It will show you which judges are doing their job in a timely fashion and which ones are dragging their feet. You'll also have real-time information regarding case tracking if that information is posted. Complete financial information about the operation of the court should also be posted. My opponent's position on transparency is that if it's a public record, you can request it, and we all know how that generally works out. My name is Ron Tamburino. I'm running for judge of the 11th District Court of Appeals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Wright.
Thank you. I am Judge Tom Wright. I am one of your 5 appellate court judges. For those of you not familiar with me, I would like to give you a little bit on my background. I went to the Ohio State University and obtained my business degree. Thereafter, I worked a couple years and went to the University of Toledo College of Law, where I graduated law school with honors. My first job as a lawyer was probably the best job I'll ever have. I served as a law clerk for the Honorable Donald R. Ford on the 11th District Court of Appeals, where I now serve as a judge. I also had a great opportunity to work with former Judge Mahoney from Ashtabula County. I don't know if a lot of you folks remember him, but he was an incredible guy and an excellent judge. In private practice, I served primarily as a litigation lawyer. I have 25 years of appellate and trial experience. Along with being in private practice, I was an acting judge for a municipal court level where I would preside over the civil and criminal docket of the court by request of the judge. In private practice, I was named the Lawyer of the Year in 2005-2006 by the lawyers of the Mahoning County Bar Association for performing outstanding legal work. Now, I know a lot of you folks are probably like my mother when it comes to voting for judges. I get a phone call right around election time where my mother says, please help me, who's the good judge, who's not? You know, the lawyers of the bar associations are very familiar with both me and my opponent. And Ashtabula County does not do a bar preference poll, but the other 4 counties in our district do. So Portage County deemed me to be highly recommended. which is the highest recommendation you can receive. My opponent received no recommendation. In Trumbull County, I'm the preferred candidate of the Bar Association. My opponent is not the preferred candidate. In Lake County, I am highly recommended. I received a 96% recommendation rating. My opponent, of those who knew him, got a 14% recommendation rating. And it was similar in Geauga County, where I received 93%, either highly recommended or recommended. Now, another thing you need to know in the spirit of transparency is that my opponent has pending ethics issues with the Ohio Supreme Court. The Board of Professional Conduct of the Supreme Court of Ohio found that he committed ethics violations by making blatantly false statements in television ads in his prior failed judicial campaign against Judge Tim Cannon. Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor, at oral argument, who is the highest ranking judge in his state, spoke of his conduct as, quote, an all-time low. You can look at this on the Supreme Court's website, Disciplinary Counsel versus Tambourine, 2016-0858. I hope that tells you what you need to know in this election. I appreciate your support before and ask that you re-elect me.
Thank you. What does a Court of Appeals do? Mr. Tamburino.
The Court of Appeals reviews decisions of lower courts in 5 counties, including decisions of municipal courts, domestic relations courts, courts of common pleas, juvenile courts, probate courts. The Court of Appeals also has original jurisdiction over certain cases, and what that means is it's a case that's actually filed in the Court of Appeals.
Mr. Wright.
That fairly accurately sums it up. We have about 32, I think, trial courts in the 5-county area. So we are what's known as your appeal of right. If you are not happy with what the trial court decided, you have 30 days to file an appeal with us. If you do, we hear your case. We have no discretion whatsoever. We will hear it. You get an opportunity to brief your issues of law. We will hold an oral argument on that case if you so desire. We travel to 5-county area, so your lawyers of Ashtabula County don't have to travel to Warren. We will come to them, as we do with all our other counties. We're a general jurisdiction court. We hear everything from traffic tickets to murders, breach of contract, professional malpractice cases, you name it. The only thing we do not hear that escapes us and goes straight to the Ohio Supreme Court is if there's a death penalty case and the jury does impose death. Then it goes straight to the Supreme Court. But other than that, we are your first appellate court of right, and we're probably your last most of the time because the Ohio Supreme Court has discretionary jurisdiction and can refuse to hear your case.
Thank you. How many appellate cases have you actually heard or argued in our appellate courts? Mr. Wright.
Heard is, I've probably issued over 500 opinions in the 5.5 years that I've served as your judge. I've voted on over 1,000 other cases where other judges were writing. We participate in 3 judge panels, so you need 2 out of the 3 to go your way. In addition to that, I argued some appellate cases while I practiced, thankfully most of the time as the prevailing party out of the trial court. I didn't appeal a lot of cases from trial court levels because I was generally satisfied with the results. Also, as a law clerk for 3 years, when I served initially under Judge Ford, straight out of law school, I had an opportunity to probably work on over 300 cases for him as the writing judge. And he was also the chairman of the Rules Committee, which gave me a great opportunity to work with lawyers who were making suggestions for rule changes.
Thank you. Mr. Tamburino.
I've argued cases before courts of appeals, including our 11th District Court of Appeals. The number is along the same lines as the number that Judge Wright indicated he heard or he argued before he became judge. Obviously, I've never been an appellate judge, so it's a loaded question. I haven't ever decided any appellate cases.
What is your judicial experience? What is your non-judicial experience? And why are you seeking this judgeship? Mr. Tamburino.
I have never sat as a judge at a trial court or court of appeals. I've acted as a mediator and an arbitrator on several occasions. The primary reason I'm seeking this position on the Court of Appeals is threefold. Number one, as I mentioned, the court lacks transparency, particularly regarding the anemic rate at which cases are decided. Justice delayed is justice denied. That information needs to be made available so you can see how judges, including my opponent's record is. There's a lot of political rancor in the Court of Appeals. The three Democrats on the court frequently engage together in a political manner addressing court administrative matters, and I can give people examples of that if they want to stay around afterwards. I see my time is up.
Mr. Wright,
Could you repeat the question?
what is your judicial experience, your non-judicial experience, and why are you seeking the judgeship?
Well, I have the judgeship, so I'm seeking re-election, but I think I told you a little bit about my background. Folks, you know, you need to look at, and I don't like to brag, but I will report what other folks say. You know, in law school, I was a top-shelf law student. That's what my professor said about me. As a lawyer, my peers recognized me as performing outstanding legal work when they named me Lawyer of the Year. I went through the judicial polls with you with the various bar associations. These lawyers know who's a good judge, who isn't, and I'm getting top marks from all of them. Now, I'd like to address the transparency issue. Everything we do, we issue opinions, they're public. We issue judgment entries, they're public. We file a quarterly report with the Ohio Supreme Court. To my knowledge, that's a public record. That's up to the Supreme Court if they want to, but I do think it's a public record. I have reported 22 times to the Ohio Supreme Court. Never once have they said I have any issues with my docket. In addition to that, Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor has chosen me to do additional work serving on the 2nd District, the 7th District, and the 9th District by assignment. I'll be in the 7th District Court of Appeals October 25th, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you. This question is directed to you, Mr. Tamburino, about your pending litigation, and how do you feel that you can run for judge with this happening?
Well, nothing regarding the recommendation of the Board of Professional Conduct disqualifies a candidate for judge. The Board of Professional Conduct is effectively an administrative agency and has no power to enforce anything. They've made a recommendation to the Supreme Court. Now, the comment that my opponent attributed to Chief Justice O'Connor was not a question, but rather a statement made. And I understand her frustration because the Supreme Court rules that are the subject of the litigation have been ruled unconstitutional in part by the Ohio Supreme Court, their own rules. The U.S. 6th Circuit Court of Appeals recently ruled another one of their rules unconstitutional. And the U.S. 6th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled the Ohio ethics laws that use the same language as the Supreme Court rules unconstitutional as applied to legislative and executive branch members. I have high confidence, extremely high confidence, that if the Ohio Supreme Court properly applies the law and constitutional law of the U.S. government, that I will be completely exonerated. And I understand that my opponent has limited constitutional law experience and might not understand all those legal issues. But I'd be glad to stay around afterwards and discuss those issues with anyone who'd love to discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, do you want to respond?
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity. I have an abundance of experience in constitutional law, and I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you after also. Now, what the board found, and it does take Supreme Court action, and they have not acted yet. I want to be abundantly fair. But they said he made blatantly false statements, demonstrably false statements. Those are not protected free speech rights. They just are not. And the U.S. Supreme Court has come out with a case since the O'Toole decision where it's even going to go probably further. So that is what I have to say about the constitutional issues. Now, let's say he were even right about the Constitution. It doesn't say anything about making blatantly false statements about a judge. Do you folks want a judge who makes blatantly false statements, whether those statements are constitutional or otherwise? That's not the kind of ethics you want in a judge.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I respond to that?
Your time is up, sir. Thank you.